If you're watching this on Legacy of Survival, hit that subscribe button right now, because today's guide is one of the most valuable deep dives you'll ever get on wartime resilience. For the next few minutes, I want you to step into the mindset of the families who survived the shortages, ration books, and brutal uncertainty of World War II. These people didn't just make do. They crafted food solutions so practical and enduring that, honestly, modern preppers still rely on their logic today. What you're about to hear isn't nostalgia for old dishes. It's about real recipes engineered for survival, nutrition, preservation, and efficiency. 7 forgotten meals that fed families through bombings, blockades, and blackouts, and that can still sustain you through any crisis today. Let's dig in. Wartime victory stew became the backbone of ration-era survival. One of the most widespread World War II dishes was victory stew, a flexible pot of vegetables, scraps and starches that stretched small rations into full meals. Families used whatever they had: carrots, onions, potatoes, turnips, cabbage, and simmered them slow to extract every calorie and bit of flavour. Protein was optional. Bones were often simmered first to create broth, then removed to save for another pot later. The genius behind victory stew was efficiency: no waste, low fuel usage, and maximum volume. You can apply this today with the same method. Start with any root vegetables you have, chop them small to reduce cooking time, and simmer them in salted water or bone broth. Add any protein you can spare: beans, lentils, leftover meat, or even dried fish. The more scraps you add, the more complex it becomes. This is a perfect crisis meal because you can make it entirely from shelf-stable foods. Modern preppers often batch-cook versions of this stew with dehydrated vegetables stored in jars, ready to rehydrate with boiling water. During hard times, oat bread became a no-yeast solution when real bread ran out. Yeast shortages hit Europe and the United States hard during the Second World War, and many families, they resorted to wartime oat bread. Instead of yeast, folks used oats, flour, water, and a bit of fat, forming a dense but filling loaf that could last for days. It wasn't luxurious, but it delivered slow-burning energy, and honestly, that's exactly what mattered. To make your own crisis-proof oat bread, just mix equal parts rolled oats and flour with enough warm water to create a dough. Add salt and a spoon of oil or animal fat if you have it. Shape it into a slab and bake until firm. In emergencies, you can even cook it on a hot stone or a dry pan, which is why, this recipe still matters today. For anyone crafting a long-term food strategy, this kind of bread is gold because the ingredients are cheap, store easily, and don't depend on yeast or rising agents. Wartime potato pancakes became a way to turn scraps into fuel. Potatoes were the hero crop of the Second World War. They grew in poor soil, stored well, and could be used in dozens of ways. Potato pancakes were one of the most common ration-era meals because they converted even sprouting or aging potatoes into something filling and satisfying. Families grated potatoes, mixed them with a little flour and salt, and fried them in whatever fat they could spare. This recipe still applies in a crisis. Take grated potatoes, squeeze out the liquid, mix in a spoon of flour, and pan-fry small patties. If you're low on fuel, make the patties thinner. They cook faster and waste less heat. In a real emergency, you can cook them directly on a metal surface heated by a wood fire. It's the perfect example of turning a basic crop into a morale-boosting comfort food. Wartime carrot marmalade became a sugar-saving sweetener. With sugar heavily rationed, families started creating mock marmalades using carrots boiled with citrus zest. Carrots contain natural sweetness, and when cooked down with a little sugar or honey, they transformed into a bright, shelf-stable spread. It sounds strange, but for families deprived of sweets, this recipe delivered a psychological lift while still providing valuable calories. To make it today, grate carrots and simmer them with lemon zest, the juice of 1 lemon, and a small amount of sugar. Cook until thick. In a long-term power outage or supply shortage, this becomes a versatile staple. You can spread it on bread, mix it into porridges, or use it as a natural sweetener when artificial sugars run out. It's a perfect reminder that survival isn't only about calories, it's about morale. Mock apple pie became a morale dish when apples disappeared. Yes, entire nations ran out of apples during the war, and cooks improvised using crackers, vinegar, cinnamon and sugar to recreate the flavour of apple pie. The acidity from the vinegar and the texture of softened crackers fooled the palate surprisingly well. Mock apple pie wasn't just a treat, it was proof that creativity could replace lost ingredients. For a practical crisis adaptation, you can make a modern version using hardtack stale bread or any dry cracker. Simmer them with a mixture of water, a splash of vinegar, sugar and spices, then bake with a simple crust. Oat dough works perfectly. This is a psychological survival tool, as much as a food recipe reminding you that comfort matters even when supplies run thin. Wartime bean sausages became a protein substitute when meat vanished. With meat rationed to almost nothing, families created bean sausages, mashed beans mixed with flour, onions and seasoning, shaped into logs and pan-fried. They delivered the protein people desperately needed without relying on livestock. You can apply this one easily. Just mash cooked beans with flour, minced onion, salt and pepper. Then form the mixture into sausage shapes and fry them until they're browned. Store them refrigerated or, if you like, dry them for longer preservation. For preppers, bean sausages are honestly a perfect blend of affordability and shelf stability. Beans will store for years, and a single pot can give you several days of high-protein meals. Wartime powdered milk custard became a way to turn rations into comfort, you know. Powdered milk was a wartime staple, and families learned to turn it into custards by mixing it with cornstarch, water, and just a bit of sugar. This simple dessert provided fats, calories and, well, a sense of normalcy when real dairy was unavailable. To recreate it, whisk powdered milk with cornstarch and sugar in water, heat until thick, and let it set. In a crisis, powdered milk remains one of the most valuable staples you can store, and custard is a low-fuel way to turn it into something nutritious and comforting. If you want more breakdowns like this, more forgotten history, and more proven survival strategies from the past, make sure you subscribe to Legacy of Survival and share this guide with someone who appreciates real historical knowledge.